My name is Judith Nkwopara, the founder of Bridging the Gap, a lived experience organisation in Wales that is transforming access to higher education for asylum seekers and refugees. Bridging the Gap is not just a program, it is a policy-informed and evidence-based practice in Wales that is giving access to higher education, working with stakeholders like the Welsh Government, universities and community partners to see how we can bridge this gap and how we can give access to higher education, making sure that policies are transformed to live orderly experiences. So at Bridging the Gap, what we are doing is taking that idea of global becoming local and transforming it into global becoming global civic. And it is underpinned by some legislations in Wales, such as the Anti-Racism Welsh Arts Plan, Wellbeing of the Future Generation Act, and the Nation of Sanctuary Commitments. My humanitarian journey started when I was age of 9. That I was inspired by my grandma, who always told me that kindness is not something that you wait to give. Kindness is something you live every day, and she inspired me by supporting me to start going into homes of elderly people who cannot go miles away to fetch water. I was fetching water for them, cleaning their houses and washing their dishes. And at some point I found out that this is something I would like to do on a daily basis. I grew up at the age of 19. I founded Judith Women Empowerment and Development Initiative. We were supporting the homeless people and those in the orphanage home, supporting them with educational materials. And at some point I thought this is something I could do and I could continue doing. I saved up my placement money and I started empowering the girl child by distributing biodegradable sanitary pads to the girl child and distributing educational materials. And we found out that we could do more. We started doing some empowerment programs for women and underserved communities. And this is how Judith Women Empowerment and Development Initiative grew up to 60 volunteers and communities supporting to make sure the underserved communities, that we support them, we empower them, and we empower women to at least have a full potential. So at Bridging the Gap, we have 2 flagship programs. We have Reconnecting with Academic Research, where we support sanctuary seekers, that is asylum seekers and refugees who want to reconnect with academic research. We support them with academic skills, research skills and mentoring support. We had our first cohort, that was in August 2025, which was hosted by the Lifelong Learning of Cardiff University. And that was an absolutely best of its kind that we never thought of, even when trying to put that together. We never thought that was going to be that great, and the participants actually appreciated it and recommended that we expand this program for other sanctuary seekers to take part. Aside from that, we have Ready Access program. We support sanctuary seekers, refugees and asylum seekers who wants to reconnect with undergraduate studies, with master's studies. We support them on how to do application, write personal statements, and how to apply for scholarship, and what is in there for their mentoring program, which we will carry on for 1 year to mentor them until they reconnect back to the higher education. And these 2 programs are well supported by the Welsh Government and institutions, and it happened to be the first program that brought all universities together to deliver a program in Wales, and we are very proud of that. We are very proud of universities on how they are reimagining access to higher education for sanctuary seekers, and we think we are really making a difference in Wales. What makes Bridging the Gap different is not only what we deliver, but how we deliver it. We don't just run programs, we read legislation, we map policies, we track Welsh Government priorities, we build cross-sector partnership, and we document our voluntary services meticulously. And that is part of our strength, because Bridging the Gap stands out there as a program that reimagines higher education. We've seen institutions trying to deliver projects, write small reports and move on. But what makes Bridging the Gap different is we deliver projects, collect evidence, align with legislation, bring government to the table, collaborate across sectors, build clear and sustainable pathways. This shift doesn't happen accidentally. It happened because Wales is uniquely positioned to lead with compassion, equity and policy, and because Bridging the Gap is showing how grassroots lived experience and national legislation can work together in a powerful way. Arriving in Wales and knowing that I'm the first sanctuary seeker to have Masters in Wales and Masters in Social Work in Cardiff University wasn't an accolade for me. For me, I thought there was a huge gap and we need to bridge that gap, and that was how Bridging the Gap initiative started. I started thinking, how can I, or how can like-minded individuals, how can we come together to bridge this gap? We have been highly supported by Mark Drakeford. He has been very supportive in making sure that Bridging the Gap is something that comes to reality. It wasn't just about scholarship, it was about educational opportunities. How do we make sure that individuals, even after having that scholarship, how do we make sure they have equal opportunities in the university? I started off by advocacy with the SUG presidents, and today sanctuary seekers, they now have a senator at the SUG in the last autumn election, which is a great advocacy and which is a great commitment of the universities to show they're highly committed to make sure that sanctuary seekers have educational opportunities in the university. Bridging the Gap is something that have been able to transform inclusion from policy into lived practice. And we look at policies not just being a document, we look at it being a very daily experience of sanctuary seekers and refugees in Wales. We're able to present that at the Global Civic Conference in Cardiff University a few weeks ago, the Black History Month panel at Cardiff University, where we actually see how Bridging the Gap works translates into the Welsh Anti-Racism Action Plan. And again, Wales calls itself as a nation of sanctuary. We see that we come as soon as possible, but then Bridging the Gap is turning those commitments into lived reality. How I see the future for Bridging the Gap is not just being an organization. I see Bridging the Gap to be a national model and a global model where institutions globally can see the impact of Bridging the Gap, and we see that replicating globally, and that's the future I see for Bridging the Gap. My grandma taught me never to look away from someone in need, and today I know that inclusion is not performance, it's practice. Bridging the Gap is proof that when compassion meets policy, transformation begins. When you bridge that gap, you build the future.